Can you please look up this thing?
See if we can figure out something.
Good afternoon, good morning to you guys. Evie, you win a mod. First the worst, second's the best, third's the one with the hairy chest. Oh my gosh. I haven't heard that in so long. It's not just a UK thing, but it's hard to say because obviously we're a ex-British colony. Yes, it's me. Why do you ask? First, I want to say two things. One, I don't do dramas. If you're a drama or you want drama, I'm going to recommend Marky. It's the best drama channel. No dramas here. Two, if you feel uncomfortable or felt uncomfortable in chat at any point and you don't want to say it here, please message me on Instagram or tag a mod that you feel you can relate to or something. But yeah, that's about that of what I'm going to say, because I was sleeping peacefully and I woke up to drums. And it's not Marky's level. It's not even, it's not something I want to inflate. So the ruling is very short. It's 18 minutes. And we have basically two options. Either we can go back to the trial of the corrections officer straight after, or because I'm on lunch until 2, we can watch some shorter random things that I've been watching this morning that I found entertaining. There's one of them I'm busy trying to track down the next part, but those are the options. And actually, I can do a poll because everybody loves polls, especially Evie. That's why she spends her weekends on them. Burn. I'm very tired, so I'm going to say, there was one more thing I wanted to say. My stream at the end of the day is essentially like the idea that I had when I started my channel. Like if you go back to before I did court streams, it's always been my ADHD life. And part of that is that I don't want to be filtered and I don't want a filtered place. And I want people to just be weird and whatever. As long as you're not offensive, racist, etc., I don't really mind. I want you to be able to unmask. There is no amount. Maybe there is an amount that YouTube could pay to not have that content. I haven't figured out the number yet, but this is a hobby. I have a day job. I don't care if I get demonetized. I don't care at all. So let your freak flags fly. Mine's gonna. Video of KR and AJ. Ooh, are they hooking up? Wouldn't be surprised. Always thought there was a little tension there. You know what I mean? A little bit of dancing. Oh, I was doing a poll. Yeah, I think we all thought it was fun, except maybe not all of us. What to watch after Dee Warner? In fact, I'll do a little self-plug. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go and rewatch the whole of the stream yesterday with live chat on. Can plug myself. What day are we on? Day 7. Oh, I can feel I'm like that tired that like my brain is just... Mel, I think you'd gone to bed. I don't have Twitter. Let's see if it's on not Twitter. Karen Reed Jackson. Oh, I don't have Twitter. I have it on my work one because I deleted. So when can you rewatch with live chat on? This is quite tricky to explain. Let me find one that has an example. Well, I can go to my own. When it was just before lockdown, actually, like the week before I was sober, I still had social media, and then I decided I was going to cut it all. So on your phone, when it's got comments, you just swipe to the side. There's like you see those two dots? You just got to get to the other side of it. So you swipe that way, and then it says, see what others were chatting about, and it's there. And then sometimes it gets stuck, so you have to like tap or go back, whatever works. Swiping backwards, it is very hard. I'm getting so confused. Yeah, that's the only way you're gonna know the drama, because I'm not gonna, not even drama. If it wouldn't make it onto a T channel, it is fiddly, and I have literally screenshot so many times and sent feedback to YouTube and been like, I have the shakes. I can't swipe this. Anyway, let's watch this decision. Also, Jen, just to say, it does take sometimes like 24 hours. So if you go on and the option isn't there, it's not ready yet. Okay, let's watch Dee Warner, or I'm going to run out of lunch break.
All rise, please. District Court is now in session. Please check your phones. You may be seated.
We are back on the record in State of Michigan versus Dee Warner. There was a lot of testimony over the past day today and 3 days prior to today. I did have to write it out so I could remember, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing anybody's names. Throughout all the testimony, whether it was friends, family, or coworkers, there was a number of undisputed things. Dee Warner was a woman with a big heart and a temper. She cared for her children and grandchildren and employees. Mr. Newminick described her chewing out an employee at the office when he first started, but also talked about her softer side, where she took him to the hospital when he was injured on the job, stayed at the hospital during his kidney surgery, and cried over his cancer diagnosis. Her children described close-knit relationships with Miss Warner. Her daughter, Raquel, said Dee could be dramatic and could yell, but also described a close relationship where she spoke with her and saw her almost daily. Dee helped Raquel with her kids, and they often had meals together. Her son, Zach, worked with her and invested in the property together. He also spoke to her almost daily. Miss Volkel described her as an outgoing person with a huge heart, but also feisty and had a temper that she would express. Dee Warner was also a woman who communicated with the people in her life on a regular basis. She was someone who was on her phone a lot. Whether it was daily text or calls to friends, family, or coworkers, or Facebook and Snapchat messages. Miss Warner was an active phone user. Analysis of her phone by MSP special analyst Miss Zingler showed that on average, in the time leading up to her disappearance, she used her phone about 307 times a day between calls and text. Mr. Molzer, who was the IT specialist for the Warner's businesses and set up Dee's devices, talked about her being very active on Facebook. Miss Alexander talked about how she would talk to Dee at least once a week, but sometimes daily, how Dee would always answer her phone or call back shortly. Miss Brody talked about how Dee would keep her phone on her during massages and would answer calls if it was the kids. Miss Volkel said they talked almost every day, and they had gone maybe only a weekend without talking over the course of the last 5 years. Another consistent theme through the testimony was the state of Dale Warner and Dee Warner's marriage. It was volatile. There was a lot of fighting, a lot of yelling, and there was testimony regarding domestic violence in their relationship. Through Mr. Bush, the court learned of Dale placing a tracking device on Dee's vehicle with the help of Mr. Bush. Mr. Bush testified it was just for diagnostic purposes, but looking at the records, diagnostics was run twice, maybe 4 times, but the location tracker was run approximately 176 times. There were also cameras installed inside the house to watch who was coming and going. We heard from multiple witnesses, her children, Miss Alexander and Miss Volkel, that the 2016 Cadillac Escalade was Dee's primary vehicle. There was testimony from Mr. Newell, the senior technical expert at GM, that the OnStar system connected to that Cadillac Escalade, indicated that over the course of 16 months leading up to Dee's disappearance, there were 2,000 location searches for Dee Warner's vehicle. Mr. Warner asked Mr. Molzer to copy Dee's phone and all of its contents under a pretense of necessity because Dee was having a surgical procedure. He then further hid, or at the very least failed to disclose, that cloned phone to the MSP after they had a warrant. There was further testimony that there were physical signs and statements of domestic violence. Multiple witnesses saw Dee and Dale fight verbally. Miss Alexander said she saw them fighting a lot. Dee did a lot of the yelling. But Miss Volkel talked about seeing Dale yell at Dee and witnessing a fight where he was screaming in her face and his face was red. She also talked about a time at the end of 2020 where she saw a quarter-sized bruise on the side of Dee's forehead that was partially hidden by her hair where it was parted. The court learned more about that interaction from Dee's text messages to Miss Alexander that on December 6, 2020, Dee and Dale were in a physical altercation where Dale Warner threw Dee at a dresser. Dee Warner described him in those texts as turning into the devil and said, "I literally thought he could kill me." Miss Brody talked about 2 separate instances when Dee came in for full body massages, and Miss Brody saw bruises on Dee. Once when there was a bruise on Dee's hip that was the size of an orange. Dee told Miss Brody that she and Dale had a fight and he pushed her into a dresser, corroborating her text and Miss Volkel's testimony. On a separate occasion, Miss Brody saw a dark bruise on her thigh, and Dee said it was from a fight with Dale. There was also consistent testimony that when things got bad, Dee Warner would leave the farm. Her son testified she'd come and stay at their lake house at least once a month for an overnight with Lena, her minor daughter. Her other daughter Raquel testified that Dee would leave when they fought and go to the lake house or even to a hotel on at least one occasion she knew of. Miss Alexander also said Dee would go to the lake house with Lena when she was fighting with Dale, excuse me. But through all those examples, the witnesses said Dee Warner would be with her minor daughter, would communicate or be in communication with someone, and all these trips would be for 1 or 2 nights. Another common sentiment was that Dale and Dee's relationship was coming to an end. There were numerous witnesses who testified to Dee's repeated desire to end the marriage in the months and days leading up to her disappearance. There was a visible disconnect between Dee and Dale. Miss Alexander and Miss Bach both testified that they saw when Dale tried to touch her shoulders, Dee would move away uncomfortably. Miss Brody said a week before Dee disappeared, Dee told her it was time to talk to a lawyer. Miss Alexander said Dee made several comments about divorce on a number of occasions. Dee also told Miss Alexander on April 24th, 2021, that she was going to tell Dale she was done with the marriage and wanted to sell the trucking company. In the months leading up to Dee's disappearance, Dee also talked to her daughter, Raquel, about getting a divorce. And again, the day before Dee disappeared, Miss Bach was with her mother and told Raquel, that her marriage was over and was going to divorce Dale. The court saw in Dee's own words that she told Dale 2 months before she disappeared that she was done, that she felt controlled, and that it would have to stop or she would leave with their minor daughter. We heard from Dale Warner himself that Dee called him on April 24th, 2021, and was upset and said she was done with him and selling everything. Dale Warner also told Zach Bach, Stephanie Vogel, and Deputy Hall that Dee and him got into a big fight on the night of April 24th, 2021. It is also very clear that the last time anyone has heard from Dee Warner was on April 24th, 2021. The court heard testimony from MSP criminal intel analyst Nicole Anderson that she searched and continues to search 13 state and federal databases ranging from law enforcement, Secretary of State records, pawn shops, traffic reports, title companies, taxes, properties, unemployment benefits, border crossings, and commercialized databases. There was also testimony from Agent Hespis, who conducted his own similar searches. There was not and has not been a single sign of life or activity of Dee Warner since April 24th, 2021. Detective Sergeant Dreyer requested and received multiple search warrants specific to Ms. Warner. He searched social media activity, data collection agencies through phones like Fog and Geofence, bank records, Blue Cross Blue Shield, medical and prescription records, Verizon, and Apple. There was no activity or transactions after April 24th, 2021 that could be attributed to Dee Warner. There was testimony about financial issues at this hearing. However, the testimony was not fleshed out enough for the court to ascertain what the prosecutor's theory was about any financial motives. The court has not based its decision on any of those issues. The prosecutor has shown Dee Warner could not be located, has not been heard from by anyone in over 3 years, has had no activity or signs of life anywhere. This was a woman who had a very active lifestyle filled with family, friends, and work. She was in constant contact with the people in her life. There was nothing in the evidence that suggested she would disappear intentionally, especially from her children, which included a minor child, whom Dee specifically said in her text message to Miss Alexander that she didn't want to leave her minor child with Dale, not even for a weekend. The police extensively searched for her and her phone and have not been able to find her. No other reasonable conclusion can be made based on these facts. There were massive searches done on the property, most of which on their property as well as surrounding properties, but most of which were done long after Dee was missing. The statements by Dale Warner in the police interview with Deputy Hall of a secret phone and someone coming to pick up Dee Warner or some potential trip to Traverse City were not supported by any facts or evidence in this case, nor were any of the other possible theories Dale raised in his conversations with the police. The implication that she may have died by suicide is also not supported by any evidence. The prosecutor has established probable cause that a death has occurred. The prosecutor also has the burden to show not only evidence of a death, but that it was as a result of a criminal act. In this case, we had testimony from multiple witnesses of a deteriorating marriage with abuse. There was evidence of emotional abuse or control through the tracking devices, OnStar car location searches, hidden cameras, a cloned phone, and Dee's own statements to Dale about his control. Then there was testimony of signs and statements that Dee made about physical altercations between Dale and Dee that even resulted in visible bruising in at least 2 circumstances, one of which was documented to her friend Miss Alexander in her own words. Dee Warner repeatedly talked about divorce, and the day before she went missing, Dee told at least 2 individuals that she was going to tell Dale about the divorce. Dee told Miss Alexander and Miss Bach about telling Dale that evening that the marriage was over. Dale told the police Dee told him the marriage was over that day as well. That night, Dee also made a comment to her daughter Raquel that Dee watches Dateline, and Dale could do something like that to her, make her disappear. Miss Bach further testified that she had never heard Dee being scared until that night. Dale Warner repeatedly admitted to the police and to witnesses that they had a fight that night, and he was the last person to see her. The timeline of events gathered through the cameras and digital footprint analysis of the morning of April 25, 2021 further supports the prosecutor's theory. The morning of April 25, 2021, Mr. Nimerick, while at his truck, sees the Hummer parked in the back of the house at approximately 3:44 a.m. He also notes that he sees the lights are on inside the house. Dale Warner had told the detectives they were asleep by about midnight. The next time frame we learn about is about 6 or 6:30. Dale wakes up, leaves the house, and tells the officers that Dee was asleep on the couch in the living room. In an interview with the detective, Dale indicated there was a way to drive around the house into the office without being on the camera. The next part of the timeline the court learns about is at approximately 7 a.m., Dale takes the front loader to the back of the house and goes in for whatever reason, and again tells the officers that Dee is sleeping inside when he goes in. But 8 minutes later, his phone is used to unlock her Cadillac Escalade. Her son, Zach, testified that her mother always kept her purse on the passenger seat floor in her vehicle. At 7:14, Dee Warner's phone last connects to the network at the farm. Then Dale leaves the property and sprays the fields, which was corroborated by the John Deere data. He returns and leaves again at 8:47 a.m. Shortly after he leaves, the Milestone app, which was the app for the farm's camera system, is connected 4 times, beginning at 8:49 a.m. Find My iPhone app was also used at approximately the same time. When Dale was asked about these searches, he told the police he was looking for Dee, but according to his other statements, she wasn't missing yet. Dale Warner spoke to Miss Vocal at approximately 10:31 a.m., and that's when he told the detectives he first learned that Dee was missing. Based on the testimony of the witnesses and the evidence admitted, the people have met their burden for purposes of preliminary examination that there is probable cause that Dee Warner died by homicide at the hands of the defendant, Dale Warner. The evidence presented also supports probable cause as to count 2, specifically regarding Dee Warner herself, her purse, go bag, passport, and personal belongings from the bathroom. The court is going to bind over Dale Warner to the circuit court for further proceedings. We have June 20th, 2024 at 8:15 a.m. The court is adjourned. Thank you.
All right.
we'll come back. That's okay. Love you, Dale.
Wowza. Love you, Dale. Really? Okay, so the latest update is it's been 7th of June. It's been bound over to the Lenawee County Circuit Court. A trial in Circuit Court has been scheduled for later this month. But then a week ago, one of the contributors on the so hated Facebook page, that if you haven't seen my thoughts on it, basically what I said is I've been on thousands of missing people or justice pages, and they're really like, there's nothing hectic on this page. I'm not sharing it because I had to request an invite. But they said, I received a text saying tomorrow's hearing has been cancelled, just checking to see if this is true. And the admin replied, yes. So let me just pop over and see. You know what, actually, while I look into what I can find, the other day when we were watching that hearing, the community hearing, I mentioned that our South African Parliament is hilarious. So I found a funniest moments.
Government must do more to restore the dignity of our people. As the adage says, you give a poor man a fish and you feed him for a day. You teach him to fish. You give him, and no.
You see, some of us don't know English properly.
Can
And then
Honorable
we
Matisa,
can only come and say,
Honorable
hong,
Matisa,
hong, 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 like that.
Honorable
member.
Matisa,
Yes. Hong, hong, hong.
Honorable Matisa,
Hong, hong, hong.
Honorable
That's the
Matisa,
only thing that she knows.
Honorable Matisa.
Yes.
Our membership figures
You guys have seen this.
stood at 769, 700, listen properly, 769,820 and 70.
Minister of Health was able a few months ago to launch a new condom.
This is our current president, by the way. He is pretty famous for what he has recently done in conflict that I know YouTube blocks the words of, but there's a conflict that's happening, and he made a landmark decision.
And I brought some examples here. A new condom, which is called the Max condom. The Max condom is in response to what a number of people were saying. They were saying that the other condom that had been introduced by government did not smell so well, and it made a noise whenever it was used. Now, through scientific development, we were able to develop a new condom which is called Max. The Max is for maximum pleasure, maximum protection, and it does not make noise at all. And it comes in different flavors. If you want a grape flavor, you can get a grape flavor. If you want an apple flavor, you can get an apple flavor.
Just wanted information, because the only thing you can do together is singing in a choir. But you can't have people speak at the same time. I only know this as a Zulu, when I joined the regiments, he said, "Om Dakechi, Okim Safi, Sinikata. Om Dakechi, Okim Safi, Sinikata."
A man stand up. Point of order. Yes. Nkandla. Tix was a George Cook.
So just for context, Nkandla was his residence that he was found guilty for taking money. It's called the... Oh my gosh, I've forgotten the name. Anyway, if you look up Jacob Zuma trial, a whole trial on our ex-president.
Hey, party.
Sorry, I'm pause queen. Evie, so I need to say this in a way that doesn't land up being super flagged, because I kind of want people to see this video. So we actually we're very advanced with this kind of thing. And the age for consent of reversal is 13 without the parents, because of grape and feeling like parents sometimes know, but also we do get free everything. I was on the government one for 10 years, I think. It's really good. It's the only one that didn't make me cuckoos. All of the paid ones made me cuckoos. And then what was the other thing? Same with LGBTQI plus rights. We were very, very, very early in the game for that.
There is a broken president in a broken country. You know, my babu. Now, at the end of that contribution, you try to find out what is it that I could respond to.
Yeah, we were launching that new breathalyzer, which will be able to test and tell if there is blood in your alcohol within 10 minutes, rather than to wait for months for blood tests to show how much blood you have.
What are we going to have up here next, preparing to come to the podium? The Minister of Home Affairs. He spent the election with his face in his armpit like this, teaching voters dabbing, while the opposition taught you a drubbing, didn't they? Then, the Deputy Minister of Minerals and Energy. Working for Minister Gupta must be hard. Poor man's still trying to work out how he got appointed or why he's here. He came here with slogans. But you know, things are getting really bad when you duff up your own slogans at the podium. You've botched the MPRDA. But I want to say, I do agree with you, Honourable Oliphant. We do find common cause with you. You're absolutely right. The ANC has produced a lot of nuts. And given the fact that mining investment fell by 74% last year, I'm not surprised you want to come here and talk about macadamias instead of minerals.
Mashile. No, Honorable Mashile. There's nothing honorable about him, man. There's nothing honorable about Mashile. You can't be forcing us to call people honorable here, Mr. Mashile.
Honorable Speaker, we have the rules of the House.
All the members.
We have the rules of the House.
Honorable member, this is not a perfect wedding. On what rule are you rising? On what rule? Honorable Josie, take your seat. Honorable members of the EFF, honorable member, take your seat.
Honorable
Please
Speaker.
proceed. Also to remind you that not all that visit our beautiful country come with the right intention, as they did in 2,000 years ago by the person named Van Riebeck. He overstayed their intention when they came.
Order, honorable members.
It was to build a refreshment station.
Order, honorable members.
They stole everything, even our dignity, because they took an advantage of our kindness. But the African National Congress said, no, these criminal injustices, cruel tendencies to our fellow South Africans.
Honorable member,
That is the
honorable
reason.
member, will you just take a seat, please? Take your seat, please. Why are you rising, honorable member?
Thank you, House Chair. But just on a point of order, the honourable member is misleading the House. She said that Van Riebeeck arrived 2,000 years ago.
Honourable
I think
member,
she's confusing
honourable member,
Jesus
take your
Christ
seat,
with
please.
Thank
Yeah,
Continue, honourable
whatever
member.
date that they came in here.
Who's all who do
Zol is weed. What do you call it? What's the word? Like a weed cigarette. I can only think of a doobie. I can't think of the word.
tobacco and make a
That
like
joint.
I don't know what you call it, like a zol in Bosa. Yes. So, sometimes when there's zol, I'll read at some stage what one person said about that zol. Because he says when people zol, they put saliva on the paper and then zol. And then
Okay, so that is actually now a song that charted in South Africa, because if there's one thing that brings us together, it is taking the pee out of politicians. Like, honestly, we love it. But now you see why I was like, oh, this is just another day in Parliament, because, oh my gosh, it is so normal. There was one short one I wanted to show as well. Where is it? It's like a minute. Yes, here. This is the energy that everyone needs to give Parliament.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honorable member.
I'm worried that this minister that we pay so much, Minister
Israel, I'll get the
Maite.
captions. Give me 1 sec.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honorable member.
I'm worried that this minister that we pay so much, Minister Maite, she's sleeping in Parliament, and with that position, she's going to fall. And the
Honorable-
minister would have fallen. She's still sleeping.
Honorable member.
She's still. I don't know what's happening.
That's not a point of order. Take a
It's
seat. honorable member.
no. The minister is sleeping. You can't say that's not a point of order.
No, Josie,
Are
here's
you
a come for
condoning
you,
people
please.
sleeping now?
Josie, here's
We
a
must
come
come
for
to
you.
sleep here in Parliament.
Honorable self, proceed.
We pay you. Don't sleep here. Hey, man. We're busy debating. You are sleeping. You are a sleepist. You think we're sleepists here?
Sleepers.
Honorable member.
Order. Order,
Yeah.
Deputy Speaker.
Actually, sleeping.
Order, Deputy Speaker.
What's
Order.
What's your order?
You can't call an honorable member. Hey, when now. This is not a cause here.
Honorable member, take your seat. Take your seat.
No, but you must not be emotional, Chief.
Take your seat, honorable members. Honorable members, can you be in order? Please, let's allow the honorable member to speak. Honorable Minister, why are you rising?
No, I want to understand what this young boy is talking to.
No, Honorable Minister, that's not a point
I
of
want
order.
to respond to this young man.
No, take your seat.
When?
Honorable Minister, you can't do
Minister,
that.
you must sleep and we must
Honorable
keep quiet. No.
Honorable member.
Decency to admit when you are wrong. You are sleeping.
Honorable Minister.
You are sleeping on duty.
Honorable members.
You are sleeping on duty.
Order. Honorable Jones, order. Honorable members, honorable self, please proceed.
So anyway, that's our Parliament. I just dropped the link for the song about Zol, which is technically like rolling cigarettes. It's not so much a joint, but it is a joint as well. And weed is legal here, so it's not massive. Dale Warner's case was assigned and is scheduled, next hearing is scheduled for July 17th. Here's the thing. We don't necessarily get live access. I think that there is an agreement that it will be recorded and then posted by the same TV station. The red people are EFF, economic freedom fighters. There are like disruptors in parliament. So they are not a direct opposition, but they call everybody out. And they're also a little bit like the class clown. And I love it. But people have a very love-hate relationship because they can cause issues, but sometimes it's like necessary. Anyway, before we go to that thing, I'm going to do a bit of a mix because people said the corrections officer, but I just want to show you guys this really bizarre court thing that I was watching. Is it you first? Yes. Whoops.
One moment, please. Get the record started. Please unmute both of you. The 37th Circuit Court is back in session with the Honorable Brian K. Kirkham presiding. It is Wednesday, May 29th, 2024 at 11:30 a.m. And this is 2024-202 DM, Gladrian Uselton versus Kyle Uselton.
Good morning to all of you, and I appreciate that you're able to accommodate the court schedule and appear early. What we're going to do is take some testimony from all of you. And Ms. Uselton, is Mr. Hill there?
Yes.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll have all three of you, Mr. Uselton, Ms. Uselton, and Mr. Hill, raise your right hand. We'll have you sworn in, then we'll proceed.
So
raise your right hands.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Hill, I can't see you, so.
I think he's in the waiting room.
Oh, so he is joining on his own device. Okay, I'm sorry. Is that Chris? What's the last name?
Hill.
Hill.
Moment, he's connected to audio. One moment, his audio failed. He needs to try again. Oh, wait, maybe now. Can you hear us now, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Hill.
Mr. Hill, you have to unmute, hitting the mic on the lower left corner of your screen. Okay. Mr. Hill, still shows you're muted. Did you unmute yourself?
Yeah, like 3 times.
Okay, well, we can hear you. It's just somehow it's not doing it correct. What we're going to do is have you raise your right hand. We'll have you sworn in, and we'll take some testimony at some point.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Start with you first, Ms. Uselton. You filed a motion in this matter seeking to have the child Ronan determined not to be issue of this particular marriage. Just for clarification, I don't know, how do you pronounce your son's middle name?
Zadif?
Zeta?
Zadif.
Zeta, okay. I'll do it phonetically. Okay. Go ahead, ma'am. You can testify and let me know what you'd like me to be aware of.
So I had a child with Christopher Hill while still being married to Kyle Usselton, but I have filed a divorce and a motion for child born out of wedlock. There has also been a request to default on that divorce.
Okay. Regardless, we're only dealing with the issue of the paternity at this point. So when was the date of birth of the child?
February 10th of 2023.
Okay. And tell me, at the time that that child was conceived, approximately 10 to, let's say about 9 to 10 months prior to that time, was in fact, did you engage in any sexual relations with Mr. Usselton?
No, sir.
And it says in your complaint for divorce that you separated on or about August 4, 2021. Did you have any sexual relations with Mr. Usselton after that date?
No, sir.
Okay. And at the time of conception of Ronan, was in fact you only engaged in sexual relations with Mr. Hill?
Yes.
And in this particular matter, has Mr. Hill acknowledged that he is the father of Ronan?
Yes, sir.
And has Mr. Hill, has he taken responsibility for the minor child?
Yes, sir.
And does he and the child engage in a parent-child relationship?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I'll ask you, Mr. Usselton, in this complaint for divorce, she stated that the two of you had separated on or about August 4th, 2021. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And had you had any sexual relations with the plaintiff after that date?
Yes, sir.
You did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When would have been the last time that you had sex?
It probably have been. Probably it was before Rain was, or she was pregnant with Rain.
Okay, I need a date. I need a date. That doesn't.
I don't know. I didn't keep track of it because to me at the time it wasn't anything that I needed to keep track of, Your Honor. It was yeah, September, October. I mean, it was just a random occurrence.
September, October of
last year. Year before last. Sorry, 22. I'm sorry.
22. Okay.
It was while I was with, you know.
Okay. Well, Ms. Usselton, I'll ask you another question because this is contrary to your testimony. Did you in fact engage in sexual relations with Mr. Usselton in September or October of 2022?
No, sir.
Okay.
I know it's very slow now, but it gets entertaining.
And ma'am, when you gave birth to Ronan, were you at term when you gave birth?
I know I was induced 3 weeks early.
Okay.
No, it was after Brandon's born.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hill, Ms. Hazelton has stated that in this particular matter that you had engaged in sexual relations with her at the time of conception of Ronan. Is that correct? I can't hear you. Did you answer? Mr. Hill?
Yeah.
You're not coming through, so.
All right, is that better?
Now you are.
Okay, cool.
And you heard my question. In fact, had you engaged in sexual relations with Ms. Hazelton at the time of conception?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in this matter, have you been in Ronan's life since the child was born?
Much as I could be. We have a lot of different things going on where, I guess the best way to put it is I wasn't able to be around due to a lot of different cases that were going on, a lot of random problems. I don't know too much about it because I was hardly involved. I mean, other than what was said here or there, like I wasn't face to face talk too much about what was actually going on, I guess.
Okay, well, let me ask you this way. You understand by acknowledging that you are, in fact, the biological father of Ronan, that it carries with it certain financial responsibility and obligations. You understand that?
As far as I know, yeah, if it's child.
Well, it might require medical expenses, child support, things of that nature.
Yeah, I have 3 other children that I do the same thing for. I've always had a job. I've always had them under my medical.
Okay, well, my question is,
understand.
you understand if you acknowledge the paternity of that child that you'll be accepting that responsibility?
Financial standpoint, it shouldn't make a difference. If I'm the child's dad, I'm going to take care of him regardless. Like I'm not worried about financial circumstance. I can take care of that.
Well, do you acknowledge that you're Ronan's father?
I mean, as far as I've always been concerned, I thought I was, yeah. I mean, even the circumstance of this situation, you know what I mean? I know I only know as much as I know, and as far as I'm aware of.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. That's all I have for you. What the court will do in this matter, the court will determine that the child, that Ronan Setheth Ray, is it Rain?
Yes.
Rain Hazelton is in fact not issue of this marriage. Court notes it heard the testimony, some of it conflicting, but in any event, even based upon the defendant's own testimony, that if he did engage in sexual relations with the plaintiff, that it would have been only 5 months prior to the birth of the child. So it doesn't appear that he would be the biological father. Court can therefore rule him out as the biological father based upon the testimony of Mr. Hill. What?
Your Honor, I'd like to speak on what's going on because I feel like a lot of stuff is missing and not being brought up for why I'm involved in the child's life.
Okay. The only question is were you engaged in sexual relations at the time of conception?
I have never ever once stated that I was Rain's biological father.
Okay,
I was brought into this.
That's fine.
So she lost custody of her son because of drugs, Your Honor. We were still married. I was given custody of the child because both the father and the mother were using methamphetamines. DHS and CPS brought me into this and gave me my son because we were still married.
Okay, when you say your son, are we talking about
Rain? Ronan? Yes.
Okay.
That is the only reason I'm even involved in any of this at all. Because I said yes, that I would raise him as my own. Gladrian asked me, told me that my son deserves a good father, and is the only reason I stepped forward. Mr. Hill, from what I know, still uses meth. He is not supposed to be around my father by DHS authority. From the last thing I've ever heard, when anything has happened with the custody of my son, the past in December and in February, I believe, the last court hearings for Miss Usselton, I wasn't even involved. And I should have been because I have full custody of Rain.
Okay, you have full custody. How do you have full custody?
Because DHS.
Okay, well, they can't grant you custody. They can grant you possession of the child, but they cannot grant you custody.
So what has happened between then and now to where I haven't been informed of anything court related to my son. He has my last name. It was given to me under the supervision of DHS.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and we can cut this short. Are you seeking to make a custody, again, determination on your son that he should be in your custody?
Yes.
Okay, well, then that will be beyond the scope of this particular hearing. We're going to need to have a separate hearing as it relates to best interest factors, which is much more lengthy. So, and the court is not capable at this point of making a determination that Mr. Hill is the child, because he said he always thought he was, but that's not dispositive. So what the court will do is the court will set a separate hearing, and then we can address all of the issues as it relates to the best interest of the child test.
Can I address one more thing, Your Honor?
Nope. We're going to have a
Please.
separate hearing. No, we're going to have a separate hearing. You can address anything you want at the separate hearing.
I want to know where my son is now.
Okay.
I haven't seen him in over a month, Your Honor.
Okay, then what you need to do in the divorce case, this case, you need to file a motion for custody, parenting time, whatever.
Shouldn't have to.
Okay? Okay. Okay, we'll do that, and we'll give you, we'll be in contact with you and set up a hearing date in which we can make that determination. But you're going to have to establish that it is in the child's best interest that the child remain in your care and custody, okay? You can file the motion before that. We can address it before that hearing, but that will be the parameters of that particular hearing, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll be in touch with you and set up a hearing then.
Thank you.
Okay, you're excused. Have a good day.
Okay, so first of all, sorry about my screaming cat. She is next to me and she's going mental. So the parents came back, but now we need to wait for the other guy. Why can't I show you the screen? So the other guy will be coming up soon. So I'm showing you this, preempting that in the next few weeks, he's going to show up.
Let's put you in it.
Phoebe. Phoebe.
How's Rain?
He's good.
Is he?
We on yet? We just have to get it set up before we can start.
Yeah, bottom guy is the bio dad.
37 Circuit Court is now in session with the Honorable Brian K. Kirkham presiding, calling case 2024-202 DM Gladrian Usselton versus Kyle Usselton. Today is Wednesday, June 26, 2024 at 1:43 p.m.
We'll note that this is a continuation of the hearing commenced on May 29, 2024. The parties, the defendant had expressed that, again, that the proposal had been made in an attempt to resolve the matter. The parties then met in a breakout room, and then they have come back and stated that they do have a resolution. Who wants to state what the resolution was?
Go ahead, Gladrian.
Kyle, I was not doing it.
Okay. Mr. Ozaton, why don't you go ahead and tell me what the agreement is?
So the agreement is that I am to get $1,500 that is owed to me for taking care of Rain during the past 14
Hold on
months.
1 second. We're getting feedback. I have to plug that. Go ahead now. I had to unplug one of the monitors that was giving us feedback.
All right, no problem. So the agreement is that I was to get $1,500 when Gladrian gets her taxes returned in for my taking care of Rain during the 14 months I had him, or 12 months. And I will agree to sign all divorce, custody, and relinquish my rights to Rain.
Okay. And is that agreeable to you, sir?
Yes.
And you understand that by agreeing to that we won't have a hearing, we won't complete that hearing, other than as the court will complete it as it relates to the testimony from the 29th but we will not go into the hearing today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and that's acceptable to you?
Yes.
And do you think it's in the best interest of the minor child that that agreement occur?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Oozleton, I'll ask you the same thing. You've heard the agreement as stated by Mr. Oozleton, and is that agreeable?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and again, are you doing this freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And you understand that if we went through the hearing, there could have been a different result. Could have been the same thing. It could have been a different result or some combination. You understand that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And by accepting this, we will not have a hearing and the court will not proceed with that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, wait, what does that mean exactly for the revocation, or does that?
Well, what I'm going to do is I still have to go through with the revocation based upon the testimony from May 29th.
Okay.
Today would have taken us in a different, I guess, a different direction with having to go through an evidentiary hearing as it relates to consideration of the best interest of the child.
Okay.
So we won't be doing that today with your resolution. Okay. With that, and that's acceptable to you, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
I would ask as well, I guess, just for protection of Mr. Oozleton, that again, if that doesn't get paid before you do the judgment in this, that you would incorporate that provision that you would owe him the $1,500 in the judgment of divorce, okay?
Yes.
And that way, Mr. Oozleton, you have something in writing to confirm that that money is owed to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. And with that, if it's in the judgment, then you have something you can collect on if again, the money is not paid.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. In this matter, the court will make a following finding in this case. The court notes that there was a child, Rowan Sataf Rain Oozleton, who is age 1, and that at the hearing on May 29, 2024, the testimony of the plaintiff was that the parties had separated on or about August 4, 2021, that they had not engaged in sexual relations after that particular time, that the child was born in September of 2022. Well, that couldn't be right anyway. Oh, he was born in February of 23. I'm sorry. I have another date in here. That again, that there would be no way as a result that the defendant could be the biological parent of the child. The court will note that in this case, Mr. Christopher Jennings Hill also was present at that hearing, testified that he and the plaintiff were involved in sexual relations at the time of conception, and that he thought that the child, in fact, was his. Based upon that testimony and the agreement the parties have today, the court will find that Rowan Sataf Rain Oozleton, date of birth 2/10/23, is in fact a child born out of wedlock, not issue of this marriage, and as a result, the court will determine the defendant is not the biological father and has no obligations to support the child or any other thing in this regard. I think, Ms. Oozleton, you did forward orders to us at the start of this, isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
I think you did with the petition, or with the motion you did. The court will, in fact, sign those, and those should be done this afternoon. And that will conclude this matter. And I wish you both the best. I hope everything works out for you. And the court will end this hearing at 1:50 p.m. You're free to go. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so I didn't mean to make everyone sad at this time of day. I understood it completely differently the first time I watched it. I thought that that was the bio dad that had all the cases, that was like things were complicated because he wasn't around much. I thought he was the one not getting custody. That is sad. And that child is just going to land up going into the system now because both of them don't care. Anyway, sorry about that. We're going to go into the trial now, the jury trial, because I need to get to work. So I'm going to be focusing. Please behave. Thank you kindly. No. One thing. This is the video Evie was talking about of are these two together? Wait, we can't see that. Okay. Nah. I don't know. That arm is a bit weird. I don't love that. But I mean, think about everything they've been through together. Also, if you hear a gadoof, it's because I gave Phoebe a toy to play with so that she will stop screaming, and now she's running around the room chasing it, and it's flying everywhere. All right, see you guys on the other side. This is your note to focus if you're also focusing now.
Have yet heard all of the evidence. You have certainly not heard the attorney's arguments or my instruction in the law. Please do not form.
And
All
it
right.
shouldn't be more than a few questions.
Sure, Inspector Basford.
Inspector Basford.
Inspector Basford, you remain under oath. Please speak loudly and clearly into the microphone. No need to place you under oath again. Ms. Jeffcoat, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Inspector Basford, the incident where we watched the video where Captain Sanders was thrown to the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
That happened on Graceville CI campus, correct? The
Yes,
FD
ma'am.
Institute. What county is that located in?
Jackson.
Jackson County. All right. Thank you. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine this witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Inspector Basford, you're still subject to recall on your subpoena. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is a good time for us to take our lunch break. The time is 11:34. We will continue to do some work while you guys take a lunch, and I need to give my staff an hour lunch break. So I'm going to ask that you guys come back at 1, and that'll be about an hour and 25-minute lunch break. And at that time, we will resume the trial. Please remember, you may not have yet heard all of the evidence. You have certainly not heard the attorney's arguments or my instruction in the law. Please do not form any definite or fixed opinions regarding this case until such time, and do not speak about the case either among yourselves or with anyone else. And we will let you go to lunch, and we'll see you guys back at 1 o'clock. Thank you very much. Let the record reflect that the jurors have exited the courtroom. The state is still present. Counsel for the state, counsel for the defendant, and the defendant are still present in the courtroom. The state has now rested. Is there anything from the defense at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, this time we would move for a judgment of acquittal. Based on the nature of the offenses, the state has to prove that the defendant's conduct rose to the level of culpable negligence and
And then if it breaks loose, it's shortness of breath a lot of times or sudden death.
okay. How about coughing up blood?
It can be, but that's a non.
Okay, that was weird. Give me a second. What is happening here? I'm going to quickly, just bear with me. Let's just do this. I'm going to quickly start another stream and then portal you guys over, because there are some people who are only following this trial quick. quick Florida trial part 2, blah, blah. Create live stream. I'll do all the other bits in a while. Yes, I did learn a new trick, but also it wasn't available to me until yesterday. Redirect. Okay, save. All right. Just need to see. I should see what the timestamp was when I started this, because I did something weird now. 1:25:45. Okay, guys, I'm going to end the one stream and you're going to get sent to the other. Fingers crossed this works. Okay, everyone take a breath.